Okay, now this project is creating like a dashboard. I don't know if many of you have finished the exercises or not, but with the dashboard, you are creating a visual report to an executive in order to help them make a decision. Before actually helping them make a decision, help them understand where their department or their unit or their whole organization stand with respect to a specific area. So as a group, now you have data regarding TSU. You have, I'm going to post on Blackboard the fact book. The fact book is all kind of statistics they collect for TSU. How many students enrolled as freshmen? How many were males? How many females? How many of those who were enrolled last year continue to be enrolled this year? How many progressed, which means they were freshmen, now they are sophomore? What are their GPAs? What are their grades? For every college, how are the colleges different in terms of retaining their students and progressing their students? How many students graduated after 4 years? How many graduated after 5 years? How many graduated after 6 years by particular college? So it's 101 pages, a lot of information. Your job is try and condense that information and produce it in a more dynamic form. I'm going to show you the dashboard in a little bit, but it will show you how you can take several pages, like 10 pages, and put it in one tab only. Of course, as a group, you will not focus on the whole fact book. You will choose a domain, and that's really very important. What is the domain that you will focus on? The domain can be a school. So I'm only focusing on School of Business, and I'm going to show how School of Business is doing in terms of enrollment, in terms of retention, in terms of progression, in terms of graduation. So these will be the different tabs that you will show for just School of Business. Or you can say, I really am going to focus on just one type of data, enrollment. And I'm going to show enrollment by different colleges or by different majors. And I will also help explain the trend that we see. So the first thing is really to determine what is your domain. As a group, what is it that you will focus on? You will not be able to answer that question until you have gone through the fact book and say, these are like really interesting information that we as a group will focus on. Even though every student is creating their own tab, the set of tabs for a group needs to be cohesive. They need to be linked somehow to each other. It cannot be totally different things that are not related in any way. So you can look at all four things. So this is our enrollment at the very beginning. And then the second tab would look at, this is how many we retained the following years, and this is how they progressed. This is how many graduated in 4, 5, 6. So you're giving a complete high-level picture for TSU. Or as I said, you can look just at enrollment and look at enrollment by gender, by age group, by geographical region, by GPA, high school GPA, and so on. But if you choose a particular type of data, like whether it's graduation, enrollment, or so on, you will have to come up with a set of KPIs that explain the trend that we see. How can I explain this? So if I'm looking at low retention, I'm losing a lot of my students. Think, now this will not, the second part, explaining the trend, is something that you will come up with. There is no data for it. As a group, you will think, what explains that trend? Why are we losing a lot of students? It could be that we don't have advisors. How many advisors are we assigning to each departmental area or to each college? It could be students are not showing up for advising session. So you may want to see, on average, how many sessions is each student attending in a year or in a semester? It could be we are not offering enough scholarship. So if we look and see that we are losing our best students, that's probably because they are getting better options outside. Or it could be because of the reputation of the university. Some schools have not very good reputation, and that's why they are losing the students. Whatever explanation you come up with, it's okay. You can come up with all possible kind of explanation, and I think that would be the best. That would be more convincing to your evaluators, the people, the judges, if they see, she have thought of every single thing that explains that trend. So some of your KPIs are what we call lag indicators. They are results, like graduation, retention, enrollment, placement. All of these are final results. That's what we have right now. But what is more interesting is explaining these results. Why are we showing low placement? Meaning that many of our graduates do not graduate with a job. Why? Could be we don't have a career center. Or if we have them, how many career advisors are serving per student? What is the ratio of advisors to students? If a student has to wait 3 days, 4 days to see an advisor, probably they will leave and they will not come back. How many sessions on average does a student attend for the career advising or the center? Are they attending 2? So this is data that you want to tell your judges would be valuable if you collect it. In terms of progression, why students are not progressing, meaning that after 1 year they haven't finished their freshman year yet. What would be, now I want your input, what would be possible reasons for that? Say that again? So attendance is good. On average, what is the absence rate per class in the different colleges? You may see that progression is good in some colleges and not other colleges. So attendance is one thing. What is another thing that explains progression? So how can you help them, or what would be the role of the institution? Remember, you are looking at the dashboard from an executive perspective. You are supporting the executive, and you're trying as an analyst, as IT analyst, to think what is important data that we have to relate to the results that we are showing. So if I'm looking at progression and I see people are not progressing, maybe it's because they don't have tutors in the difficult classes. So what are the difficult classes and how many tutors are they assigned? So if you don't have any tutors, then again, how many students are attending the tutoring session? So all of these are information. This is advice that you are given to the or to the judges. This is information that is important for you to collect. So let's go back to the steps of what you need to do. 1, identify the domain. What domain will I focus on? Am I going to focus on a specific college and give an overview of what's going on in terms of retention, progression, graduation, and enrollment? Am I going to focus on just a piece of the information, enrollment, and give you all kind of information that you want, demographics, GPAs, all kind of information that you need, placement? When you graduate, you want to tell them, okay, how many did I graduate in 4, 5, 6? How many did I graduate as males and females? How many did I graduate per age group? How many did I graduate per degree, per program? How many did I graduate in each GPA group? So the 1 to the 1.9 is one, the 2 to the 3 is another, the 3 to the 3.5 and maybe above 3.5 and above is a third. How many am I placing? So graduate and also has a job. How many are graduating, are going to join graduate school? How many are graduating and opening, like are coming as entrepreneurs? All of these are success stories. But I also, after I finish all of the information coming from the fact book and also completing the picture, I want to tell them, why are you seeing that trend? Why am I showing low graduation rate in a specific department or a specific college? So think about an explanation. What other data? And when you are presenting to the judges, you say, this is information that we could not collect, but we thought would be a good way of explaining the data. And maybe you should consider collecting that type of information so that you have a more complete picture. So we're not just telling you this is where TSU stands, but we're telling you why do you stand there and what can you do to improve. You can look at correlations between things. So the science and technology explain the high placement. If you have a science degree or a technology degree, that means that you will automatically have a job because there is a very huge gap in the market. Okay, so you define the domain, particular set of data. How will I present that data in a visual format? Remember, dashboards are all about visual representation of the data. So I'm going to show you a dashboard that a student has done. This is another one actually, but this is showing for a non-profit organization how many donors and how much are they giving over the last 4 years. So from 2007 to 2011, you are seeing how many, that's the bar chart, and then the line chart is telling you how much are they contributing. So, and that's a nice feature of that type of graph that you see in Crystal Dashboard, where you can show multiple variables on the two axes. It's actually an option, and I show you in the YouTube how you can do that. And then I can look at a particular contributor and I see how much are they contributing over the years. I can look and see in 2009, did I reach my goal or not? So the target, they call it a dial, I think a dial, the one that has the red, yellow, and green, huh? A gold, yeah. You can set it to where it shows also an alert. So it say if it's below a certain benchmark, then you have not reached your target. So you say, what is my target? Am I below target or above target? And then also for every single contributor, over the years, are they decreasing? So you see that's another way of showing the alert, is looking at the trend and determining, is it decreasing, is it the same, or is it increasing? Yeah. Hmm? You're getting the data in a PDF form, but it's also like already analyzed for you. So all you're doing, pulling certain information that you want to use in the dashboard and putting it in an Excel sheet. It's not a long process. It should take you a couple of hours, just like if you have already decided what is it that you want to show. So I would, yeah. The PDF, yeah.
So in other words, whatever you want to
not sure I understand your question. Say that again.
If, for example, you want if you want to show the reason why students are why students are leaving the college,
Leaving?
Why they are not graduating before they leave. If that is
Why they are leaving the college, meaning I'm not retaining. That's what they call attrition rate. They leave school before graduating.
yes.
Okay.
If that is what you want to show
Okay.
to the executive,
Uh-huh.
then it means from your
You wanna
choosing your domain.
Okay. The retention is your domain. So one thing is showing how many are we losing every year from the freshman group class. So those that enrolled in fall 2014, how many of them are not coming in fall 2015, next year? Part of the explanation is to look at the GPA of the students whom you lost. If their GPA was 4.0, where do you think they went? What do you think? Yeah, they went to better schools. If most of the ones that we are getting has very low grade, so they were maybe because they were put on probation, they're not coming. Financial aid is another thing. So how many are losing the financial aid, and that's why they are not coming? So here is another another dashboard that one student did, and she looked at GPA distribution, placement, average salary, college graduates, and her selection was the different departments within TSU. So looking at management, this is how much we have placed in the management area, meaning they graduated with a job, and their GPA was between 1 and 1.99, and their average salary was average starting salary was 18,000. So you get some picture of how you are doing. It makes sense that those who with a low GPA will not get as many jobs. But then when you reach the 3.54, then you have a very high placement and also a very high average starting salary. So that's something that you can share with the students. The better you do, the better money you will make. But then you are also looking at the average starting salary for all of TSU. And it is red. That means that it's not really very good. It's in the red. If we look at placement, again, you choose a particular. And the ticker is telling you that the placement national is 13%, HBCUs is 10%, and TSU is just 3%. So we're not really doing as good as other HBCUs or overall. So again, if I want to focus just on placement, I have to look at other data. I would have to come up with other data that's not in the fact book, and that would be how many students visit on average the placement center every week or every day. On average, how many sessions do they attend? Because if they are attending one, of course they will not act on it. But if you follow up with me and you come back, that means you are showing me your resume, or I'm giving you advice about a mock interview, or I'm telling you where you should apply, and so on. So for whatever domain you will choose, make sure that some of your tabs explain, or part of the tab explains the trend that we are seeing. Okay, so We said choose a domain, choose how you are going, what data you need, create your Excel sheet, because every single one of these um, dashboards have an Excel sheet that is built on. So if I'm going to show the GPA per each department, I need to put the accounting and how many students graduated or are placed in a particular rank, in a particular GPA group. Okay. The next thing is, how will I visually display that information? I've shown you example. Let's say we want to show attrition. Attrition meaning how many we lose every year. So I have a very large freshman class, and then a smaller sophomore, and even smaller junior class, and a smaller senior class. What would be the best way to show that information? Large freshman, much smaller sophomore, much smaller junior, much smaller. We can do it a pie chart. People can say, okay, I can show a column chart and show how the heights are different. I can show, let's say, usually you don't want to see it just by 1 year. So you want to show several years. So maybe a stacked column chart. So one column chart will show how many freshmen, how many sophomores, how many juniors, how many seniors, but then the different columns will show the different years. Or you may show it as a pyramid, where the pyramid will show a large base, so it's a nice way for you, and a non-traditional way. So think of non-traditional ways that we can display the information to an executive that will, as soon as they see it, they can tell right away. Okay, I show that I'm losing in every class. What else? What would be two other graphs that I can show side by side with that pyramid or that column chart or that pie chart? No, I'm saying this is one piece of information. What other pieces of information will you show that will complete the picture? So I know that I have a larger freshman than the sophomore, than the junior, than the senior, which tells me two things. Either I'm losing in every classification, or people are not progressing. So they continue 2 years in the freshman class, and then maybe a year and a half in sophomore, and then a year in junior, and by the time they are seniors, they have woke up and about to graduate. So you want to show retention, how many are we losing every year, and cite how many are progressing every year. That will give a bigger picture. So not just that I have a larger freshman than sophomore and junior and senior, but also what's happening, how am I retaining every year, and how many are progressing every year.
So
What?
that will show
Yeah?
that will show
Retention.
how much you are missing and how much are progressing.
Yes. It means like, how are you doing in keeping the student on track? It's not just good enough to just keep the student. They come and they sit in the class and they do nothing and they end up with an F. You want them to get them done with their...
So retention is on track, it's not losing.
Retention on track.
Yeah.
The two terms that are used in the fact book is progression. That means that they move from one classification to the next in a year.
Okay, so it's two retention, one progressive, one losing.
One retention and one progression.
Okay.
The whole data is called retention.
Okay.
Retaining, they sometimes call it attrition rate. How many do you lose?
Okay.
So the attrition is one thing and the progression is another. So losing is one problem, but also not progressing is a big problem because it's using the state dollars
And they're both retention.
and they are both retention.
last part that would make your tab complete would be what is causing them. Why students are not progressing? Give me an explanation. Huh? Lack of tutoring, lack of advising, and then but I don't know how will you collect that kind of data. Part-time versus full-time. I mean, they can be doing well. So the GPA, if you see the GPA is high, but your progression is low, it doesn't mean you have a problem, but you have a very high half-time or part-time.
Like more like school activities.
School activities can be another thing that is. So just like be innovative in trying to explain or build up a story behind your tabs. Every student is responsible for a tab for themselves. So they cannot say, that person didn't do that or I didn't do that. That's your job. You create your own data, you create your own tab, you make sure all of your components are working. But part of your, if everything is working, most probably you will get an 88 to a 90. If it fits within all of the tabs in the group, then you get 100, of course. And that's why the students who do everything by themselves, the least that they can get is a 95. Okay? Because they have thought about everything, they made sure that all of the components are smoothly tied together. It's not that they are completely unrelated or this is what now? No, it's May 7th. That's not this Thursday, the following Thursday. Next Thursday. Next Thursday. So we have say that again? The fact book, I'm gonna post all of that on Blackboard. Now, one thing you need to collaborate with is you really don't want another group to be doing exactly the same thing like you. So, I don't know if the best way is not to share the information with the other group so that, I think that might be. Just like don't talk to the other group so that they copy the same design like you are or anything like that. Let each one come up with their own innovative stuff. Now, are you all done creating your groups? So have you all joined the group?
It's not the same group.
No, you don't have to stick with your group. So, and the problem is we had a couple of problems with the group, so I didn't want people to be stressed having to work with people that they did not feel comfortable with. Given that we only have 2 weeks, let's make it an enjoyable experience. Okay, so any questions? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post the fact book. I'm going to post example dashboards for students who previous semesters. And then I'll also post the manual for Excelsius and a set of videos that I prepared using several features. Now, the dashboard itself comes with a set of templates. So see here the templates and the samples. These are ways for you to know how to work any component. So let's say I didn't show you a particular component, but you are interested in it. Then go under the samples or the templates. The templates is for every single component. And it tells you how to set it up. The samples are sample dashboards, so whole dashboards. So you have the ones that people have prepared before, but you also have ones that come with the tool itself. So I know, it's outside of the realm of the